কলকাতাতে বসেছে সিপিআইএম কেন্দ্র কমিটির 3 দিনের বৈঠক। রবিবার ছিল বৈঠকের দ্বিতীয় দিন। সিপিআইএম কেন্দ্র কমিটির বৈঠকে রবিবার দেশের অর্থনীতির উপর মোদি ঘনিষ্ঠ কর্পোরেট আদানি গোষ্ঠীর প্রভাব বিষয় নিয়ে গভীরভাবে উদ্বেগ প্রকাশ করেছে সিপিআইএম কেন্দ্র কমিটি। কারণ দেশের বিজেপির মোদি সরকার কেন্দ্রীয় সরকার অধিকৃত বীমা সংস্থা ভারতীয় জীবন বীমা ক্ষেত্রকেও আদানি গোষ্ঠীর অন্তরালে দিতে ষড়যন্ত্র করেছে। পাশাপাশি দেশের জাতীয়কৃত ব্যাংক এসবিআইকেও আদানি গোষ্ঠীর অন্তর্ভুক্ত করে দিচ্ছে কেন্দ্রীয় সরকার। বিজেপি নেতৃত্বাধীন কেন্দ্রীয় সরকারের এই অবস্থানে তীব্র প্রতিবাদ জানালেন সিপিআইএম কেন্দ্রীয় কমিটির সাধারণ সম্পাদক সীতারাম ইয়েচুরি। সিপিআইএম কেন্দ্রীয় কমিটি দেশের অর্থনীতিকে রক্ষার স্বার্থে সুপ্রিম কোর্টের তত্ত্বাবধানে একটি তদন্ত কমিটি করার জোরালো দাবি জানিয়েছে। রবিবার কেন্দ্রীয় কমিটির দ্বিতীয় দিনের বৈঠক শুরুর আগে কলকাতাতে সাংবাদিক সম্মেলন করে বিষয়টি তুলে ধরেছেন সিপিআইএম এর সাধারণ সম্পাদক সীতারাম ইয়েচুরি। সঙ্গে ছিলেন সিপিআইএম এর পশ্চিমবঙ্গ সম্পাদক মোহাম্মদ সেলিম।
Raised and has always been of concern for the entire country because it has very serious implications. All of us know even the farm laws that were brought, the 3 farm laws that were brought that Mr. Modi had to withdraw in the face of the historic Kisan agitation and the struggle. These farm laws were also designed to hand over Indian agriculture to Mr. Adani mainly, and to the other cronies of this government, that is the Mr. Ambani and the other sets of the group of companies that are involved as cronies. Now, the entire policy making in the country is being oriented to benefit these cronies, particularly the Adani group, and that has a very serious implication for our country's economy and future of crores of Indian people. The assets of the country were being handed over to this particular group. And all of us know the close connection between the Prime Minister and this group and the owner of this group. Because if you recollect, many of you must have published those photographs in your papers, that Mr. Modi was traveling in the Adani plane. And even after he was elected, the first flight he takes is a private jet of Mr. Adani, which is prominently written there. So the connection is very well known. And the handing over of India's assets, virtually the loot of India's assets, going over to this company, how this was being financed was a question that was always asked. Now that is where we are concerned. Our concern comes in the fact that today, the exposure of LIC's investment in Adani companies is somewhere to the tune of between 74,000 crores and 84,000 crores. Now, this is a huge amount of money. LIC is the place where crores of Indian people park their lifelong savings in terms of insurance policies. Now, with such a big exposure of investments of such a high nature in the Adani group of companies, anything were to happen to these companies like it has happened in the last 2 days, their valuation has dropped by nearly $50 billion. $50 billion, that's what the international estimates say. If that valuation drops, or its value drops in such a way, it's people's money that is invested in these companies that is going to be the loser. That is your LIC policy, my LIC policy, everybody else's LIC policy. What you earn, returns out of that, would be virtually wiped out because of the manner in which this group's companies falling is dropping. So that means it affects not only the group's health, but it affects actually the health of large section of Indian people. Number 2, 40% of the borrowings from nationalized banks in the country to the Adani group of companies is routed through the State Bank of India. Now, State Bank of India is the leading bank of the country, and in all our bank accounts is again all the lifetime savings of crores of Indians are parked through their bank accounts. Now, if this is going to get affected with the drop in the value of the Adani group of companies, then the assets or the savings of the crores of Indian people get totally wiped out. Now the argument saying that no, banks are in good health, so therefore nothing will happen, banks can take this sort of a shock. It's not a question of whether the banks can take this sort of a shock or not. The question is, your account, my account in the SBI, today it gets an interest of 5 to 6%. If this sort of losses were not there, then the interest on my deposits would go up to my bank account, would go up to 10 to 12%. My earnings are being cut because of these sort of losses. So it's not the health of the bank whether it can sustain such a loss or not, but the point is the returns to the people on their lifelong savings, that is being drastically reduced. So these are matters of very serious concern. And the control over Indian economy. All the ports now with Mr. Adani Group, all the airports with them, cement production facilities, factories with them, the basic infrastructure for the economy of the country, it's all being controlled by in one gigantic group of companies led under one group. And India cannot have another fugitive businessman. We have enough of them who left the country and gone away. And therefore, we'll have to, the government and the authorities will have to take measures to ensure that all this is properly inquired into. Now, the SEBI and the RBI, as the regulators, must do their job to inquire into what is happening. But at the same time, there has to be a much larger and a much higher level of inquiry that has to be constituted, because everybody is involved, from the finance ministry, from the foreign ministry, given the fact that much of the borrowing is being taken through foreign bonds in US dollars, the Commerce Ministry, the Industry Ministry, all of them are involved in this entire process. Therefore, a high-level inquiry is absolutely essential. Apart from this, the regulators.
Bureau Report, Freedom Tripura.